What is going on, everybody? So today we got another video for you where we are going to be doing a quick and simple oil change on the WRX. I like to do this every 6 months or 4,000 to 5,000 miles, and I always use 5W20 oil for this because of the temperature ranges that we do experience throughout the year in Pennsylvania. It really is so simple to do that I hope this video can give you some encouragement and show you also how easy and quick it is to change your oil yourself. Of course, the very first thing that we have to do is to get everything all set out nicely for doing this oil change, because I hate having to run back and forth to the garage to grab what I need, and there's no room in there for me to pull in. So, to start, I like to bring out my socket set, some towels to lay on, of course, the oil filter and the oil that we're going to be putting in. I use high mileage oil from Napa since my car is at 145,000 miles, and my oil filter is also from Napa. Now we need a jack to get the car in the air, and I like to put jack stands under it just in case something were to fall. This will protect you also from being crushed, and of course an oil catch pan just so we can put the oil from the car into something. Oh, and some gloves too for some grip and protection. Of course, first things first, we're going to pop the hood and open the oil filler cap so that way some air can rush down to help push that oil out into the pan faster. I'm going to start by jacking one side of the car up and putting the jack stand underneath it to hold this side, then alternate to the other side and repeat the same thing to give us some room in the front to crawl underneath. Now, what you're looking for is these two things right here, the oil filter and the oil drain plug. I'm going to place the oil catch pan right under the plug and then grab a 14mm socket to loosen the plug to drain our oil. I also like to try and loosen the last bit with my hand to make it so that there's not much overflow spillage outside the catch pan, but as you can see, that doesn't always appear to be the case. I'll show you what I do later in this video to help clean this up off the ground so it's not as bad afterwards. Now, it will take a minute or two for the oil to drain out, and it's okay if it's just slowly dripping to put the drain plug back in and wipe the excess off the pan. And now move on toward the oil filter. For the oil filter, this can usually just be loosened by your hand twisting it, but this one is a lot harder to not make a mess with. So we're just going to move our catch pan, turn the filter until it pops off and overflows with oil everywhere. And as you can see, I am too lazy to unbolt this plastic cover, so I just wipe it off later. So now that that has been drained out entirely, we are ready to start reassembling. I'm going to take the new filter, and I like to dip my finger in the oil and lubricate the O-ring on it just as a precaution. With it now oiled, it's as easy as just screwing the filter back in. It doesn't need to be super tight or anything, just enough so that it's seated flush. And I just like to give it a little bit more of a turn for good measure. With that done though, I just like to double check the oil pan bolt is back on, because the last thing that we want is the oil to just start draining right back out whenever we go to fill it. For filling, I usually just raw dog it and pour it straight in, but for the sake of the video, I will be proper and use a funnel to help it go in. You will also have to do a quick Google search to double check for your oil how much your car takes. I know that for this car, the 2002 Subaru Impreza WRX, it takes 4.8 quarts, so I just buy a 5-quart jug and dump the whole thing in, since it's not too much more and I'm not concerned with problems happening. If anything, the oil will just burn off from the turbo as these cars do, and it'll be at 4.8 quarts sometime soon with how often I drive. Do make sure to put your oil cap back on at this point too. Now that the oil has sat in there for a minute or two, I pull out the dipstick. Always make sure to wipe it once, since the oil can run down the walls, giving a false reading. And looking at the dipstick, it does appear to be the slightest bit above full, which I am more than okay with, so it looks good. With that done though, I go up underneath and double check that we don't have any leaks or anything. Since we don't, I know that everything is tight enough and I can go ahead and try to start the car. After letting the car run for a bit, it sounds great. I don't hear any weird noises. There's still no leaks coming out from underneath of it, so now we know for sure that everything is running perfectly and can go ahead and shut it off. The last thing that I like to do is pour my old oil from the car into the oil container that we just bought to fill it. This way it can be properly disposed of, and I mark it as old on the lid so I don't get it confused. I also like to purchase an extra quart of oil to keep in my trunk just in case it ever gets a little low and just needs to be topped off really quick, because you never know. Cleanup from this point is fairly simple, lowering the car the same way we got it into the air last time and putting my various tools and jacks back where they belong. And just like that, the oil is changed and is fresh and ready to go for the next 5K miles or 6 months, whichever comes first. For those of you who want tips on cleaning spilled oil on your driveway if you make a mess like me, I like to mix dish soap and vinegar together to spread on the area. Let me also preface that with this, it's no miracle mix that will just make it disappear, but I do believe that it helps to at least pull out some of the oil and not make it look as bad. I let this solution sit on the oil for about 20 to 30 minutes and then just dump water on top of it, and as you can see, it really is no miracle, but after it rains a couple times and maybe I come out and do this again, it'll continue to get lighter and not show up anymore. With that being said, I have nothing left for you guys today. Thank you so much for all the support on the channel recently and watching my videos. I hope that this helped you step by step, or at least gain some confidence in changing your own oil, even if it's not this car or a WRX at all. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much again, and we will see you guys in the next one.